So for our lesson, we obviously wanted to administer something to students that they would make an immediate connection with. Out of all the sociological relationships facing our society today, which one plays the most significant role? What is affecting us every day? What's affected us in the past? What's controversial? How are we going to pick an issue that undergraduate students at New Mexico State University are going to learn about and apply to their daily scope of the world around them? And that's ultimately how we came to the conclusion that we wanted to teach a sociological lesson about race.
Alright, so for our class we had a total of 12 students, 7 of which were female, 5 were male. It was a very culturally diverse group. We had students from Mexico all the way to Hawaii, and everyone seemed pretty enthusiastic. Once we explained the objectives and got rolling, everyone was participating. They participated through answering questions, coming up with their own questions, and engaging in debate. Once we got started on the PowerPoint, we used examples from quotes and situations in everyday life. This allowed us to teach to visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners through use of PowerPoint, our conversations on the topic, and our and hands-on group work that we assigned.
So for our teaching steps, we first started off by asking the students to give us their own definition for minorities, race, and ethnicity. After they gave us their own definition, we gave them our definition from what we got. After that, we stuck to the PowerPoint presentation for the majority of the time. Then we gave them an assessment to see so they can let us, the instructors, know to see what kind of knowledge they learned. After that, we closed the class with an in-class discussion. So to present our lesson, we use PowerPoint. In our PowerPoint, we describe terms such as ethnicity, race, and minorities. In our PowerPoint presentation, we applied to the 3 learning styles. In the PowerPoint presentation, we use videos/pictures to appeal to visual learners and to help clarify what was taught in the lesson. We also appealed to kinesthetic learners by issuing assignments during our presentation. One of the assignments we did was give them a 10-question assessment to see if they understood the lesson presented. Finally, we appealed to the auditory learners by presenting and reading information out of the slides on the PowerPoint.
Our lesson was heavily influenced by Piaget's theory for teaching, in which an understanding for building a student's knowledge is learned by viewing diverse constructive processes. Encouraging social interaction with other students and inspiring personal reflection at the individual level nurtured this. It enabled students to test their critical thinking skills, challenge others who had different solutions, and receive feedback from their peers and instructors. Discussing each other's experiences could have both challenged and changed the initial thinking abilities of those involved, while simultaneously encouraging a deeper analytical comprehension of the lesson through individual exploration.
Vygotsky's theory of assisted learning was also implemented within our lesson. Throughout the class, the students consistently responded to questions that related to various scenarios and concepts that were presented. Students were allowed to express their ideas, thoughts, and views that were sometimes guided to the correct answer when their ideas couldn't be expressed fluently. As the lesson progressed, more advanced questions were asked and built on the students' knowledge as they began to think about more complex situations. These ideas were later aided with visual aids in the presentation, including the pictures and videos. When students were eventually asked to complete a handout, their confidence in their educational ability enabled them to complete the assignment successfully.
And then I think one of the things that that you did was, it's called like front loading, where you give the students like the vocabulary this is what we want to define these things. And then so you ask them. And then you use the word schema, which in education, it's like your your prior knowledge that you bring with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were, I think, tapping into that. And I think that's huge. If you tap into what people know, then you're able to say, okay, if you already have this, then I know we can go here we can start. We don't have to start from ground zero. I think one thing that really stood out to me was that when you provided videos, those videos are huge. They're very engaging. Kids, people see that, and it's not just you talking, but that you're putting them in a situation that they can really, it pulls them and engages them, it pulls them into it, and that was huge. I could see at first you put them in groups and you said, you want to do this and you want to do that, and you put them in groups about discussion about the definitions of what they think they are, and they seemed like they were talkative and that they were participating. And then your questions came, and it seemed like, okay, that seems like it started kind of dragging a little bit, but it's because you were trying to build up to this point of, what do you think of this? And then once you hit the video, that was huge. So maybe next time you look at those things, you're going to show videos separated. Come in equally. You come in strong, and then you come in stronger. And give them the breaks. The definitions that you guys did. Come in with that evaluation. The assessment is fine. I mean, give me 3 things you learned.
Yeah.
You pick. Give me 3 things that you learned. Oh, write them out. So now it's not, because everyone learns, but they learn different things. It might not be the things you wanted them to learn, or maybe when you set an exam or something, maybe they didn't learn exactly the way you're wording it, but they learned.
Yeah.
So tell me what you learned, and then evaluate it. What do you think of this? What could have been different? What would have made it better for you? And then you get that feedback, and as you guys are going through, you're going to be going through classes, and you're going to be going through lessons, and you can only grow from it.
So overall, I think the presentation went well. I do believe the students got good information out of it.
And people were engaged with the lesson. They really liked the videos that we showed. They liked the pictures that we showed.
Our whole class participated a lot more than I was expecting.
They also seemed very excited, and throughout the presentation they seemed to be interested.
It was all in all really, really successful. I'd say the only thing that we have to work with is just the overall duration of the lesson itself.
We guessed it would be around like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and it ended up being an hour and a half.
They started losing a little bit of interest, but I felt like we got the interest back when we gave them the assessment to do.
Students have about a threshold to retain information in about 50 minutes. So to clarify on this for the next lesson, we'd like to cut the lesson up, maybe divide it in half, maybe separate it by breaks, show more videos, show more pictures, just to keep them a little bit more engaged throughout the whole lesson.
The students were talking more than we expected initially, and that was great because our discussions were fantastic. Debates all went very well.
The lesson as a whole was really successful, just in being able to reflect upon it and being able to see what worked, what didn't work.
I think it went extremely well.
Overall, it went well.